Hello and welcome back to Expedition Homestead. I hope you're having an incredible day. You know, coming down into the basement usually once every day or two, sometimes 3 days, let's be honest. We all live busy lives. When I come down into the basement, I find that I'm always learning new things about plants. And in today's video, I want to talk about watering it and how most of us have probably been doing it wrong for most of our lives. Just like we preach on this channel and many other videos, there is no set rules when it comes to watering your plants. I can't tell you that you need to come downstairs or go out in your bay window and water your pothos or your sansevieria or your ZZ plant or whatever various succulents you might have. I can't go and say you need to water those once every 2 weeks. The reason for this is that every single plant is going to have a little bit different needs. They're going to be in different sorts of pots. The soil's going to evaporate faster or slower in one plant than another. So unless you have them in a very large container growing all together, like I have my sansevieria, my puntia cactus, my cholla cactus, all sorts of goods in that one, all in one planter. Unless you have them all in one planter, you're going to run into problems if you want to water every 2 weeks. Dead nuts on the money, because those plants are going to be very different from one another. I'll give you a couple examples. We have some pothos down here that are just in, well, this one's in a normal pot, this one's in the nursery pot still, but these generally are okay being watered once every week and a half at this point. While at this time of year, this one upstairs that we have, even though it's in just about the same kind of pot as the one downstairs, we need to water this about every 5 days because it is right by a heat register. So what that means is this plant needs to be very humid at almost all times, because when we close the shades at night, heat builds up in here. So if this soil is not moist, that's going to dry out this one really quickly. Next example, here we have a cactus, curly Sue cactus, and then this one I don't remember the name of right now. But this is in a sealed container. So, man, you can't just grow plants in a sealed container, let alone cacti. Well, yes, you can. You just need to pay attention to how much water and moisture is being retained in the soil. So pop up here every few days, dig your fingers down into the soil. If it's not hard and dry, then you're fine. But if it's totally hard and dry, then if it's also been like a couple of weeks, you're probably good to water, but you still need to watch out for signs that the plant is giving you about if you're overwatering or underwatering. Signs that plants will give you when you're under or overwatering. This peace lily right here, it's starting to droop a little bit. She needs some water. For succulents, the leaves will start to wrinkle up. Jades will do the same thing as well. One caveat to this, though, is that some plants display the same signs when being overwatered and underwatered. So that's when we have to reflect back on what our watering habits have been in the past and kind of deduce off of that. You know, I have been watering once every 5 or 6 days. Maybe that's a little bit too frequent for what the plant is looking for right now in its current environment. Speaking of environments, it's also very important to take that into consideration, because down here in the basement where we grow a lot of our plants during the winter months, it's very, very dry in here because we have a forced air heating system, so that dries up the air. And it's also cold. It's usually only about 68 degrees down here. So I need to adjust a lot of my care to these plants. Essentially, what I'm trying to mimic is what would be their winter growing conditions, which isn't ideal for the plants, I understand, but it's what we're doing with them right now. We do have plans, though, for in the future to build a little green room downstairs in the basement that's going to be heated and humidity controlled. So maybe with a little bit extra support from you, we can do that this spring. So fingers crossed we're able to do that, but it's kind of up in the air right now. We'll see. So a quick recap. When it comes to watering, you can't set a deadline date that you're going to water your plants. It's never going to work out that way. You're going to come down and see your peace lily drooping down and looking real sad because it really needed water several days before that point. You also need to keep in mind the different containers that you're growing your plants in and the environment that they're growing in as well. Is it dry? Is it warm? Is it cold? All of those things you want to look at and adjust your watering schedule according to those things. Do not set a schedule. Every plant's going to be a little bit different. The substrate, the soil of the plant. Duh, why didn't I mention that? The soil and substrate is also going to be different. So when it comes to a watering schedule, you've got to be flexible because these plants are growing in all sorts of different conditions. So with that being said, I want to thank you for tuning into today's video. If you enjoyed and are still watching, please subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and also ring that bell so you can be notified of all of the videos that we come out with here on Expedition Homestead. Thank you again, happy gardening, and I'll see you in the next episode.